Hello everyone, welcome to Reading History number 27. Before I begin reading from the diary, I would like to give you an update regarding Great Uncle Ernest's health that myself and many of you may have had questions, dating back to his entries as a teen whereby he had been ordered to bed with a rock attached to his foot, to his time in the hospital during the war. My cousin, Diane Cross, accessed over 60 pages of military records in her Ancestry account and provided me with the following information. Now, starting when he signed up, February 25th, 1916, right leg quarter-inch shorter. There's an entry from March 19th, 1919. It says disease, old TB of right hip. Under remarks, old TB of right leg, X-ray, 1-inch shortening of right leg. Discharged as fit for service, but not in general service. September 26, 1918, Camp Division Fort Pitt Military Hospital, Chatham, left hand, foot, and leg dressed. Transferred to Auxiliary Hospital No. 6 Canadian General Hospital, Moore Barracks, Shorncliffe. Inflamed, ulcerated areas on body, legs, and index finger. Next page complains of pain in right hip on walking. Has right shoe built up. X-ray reports coxa vara due to old TB lesion of hip. Cannot say there is any recent disease. Can walk on level ground at own gait, 3 miles. Difficulty on walking on rough ground. Cannot do any fast marching or hill climbing. Condition present since 16 years of age. April 3rd, 1919. He is in London, Ontario. It now says original disease, old tuberculosis of right hip. Date of origin previous to enlistment. Cause tubular infection. Service 3 years, 38 days. Under history, first noticed trouble in right hip by dull aching when he was 15 years old. Was in bed for 2 months with weights attached to his foot. Gradually recovered. On time of enlistment, he states he had no trouble with hip and was able to do a full day's work without difficulty. Attestation paper states quarter shortening on enlistment. Carried on in France in the lines for 10 months before the hip started to bother him, and after being unable to carry pack and do general duties of line, was sent down the line and category lowered to B111, and did YMCA work until he had infection of calf of left leg and went back to England. Disease of childhood, no complications. Disordered section of heart in England. Heart is now regular and normal. Superficial skin infection of legs, which I now believe was impetigo, now cleared up. July 1918. Soldier claims he cannot walk as far now as on enlistment, but believes aggravation is only slight. Ernest signed chose, not satisfied with this assessment, and underneath it says he complains that he can't go back to farming. Next page, board agrees. Board believes he can go back to farming as an occupation with slighted lessons efficiency. Thank you so much, Diane, for that information. That really gives us some insight into what was going on with Great Uncle Ernest when he was bedridden as a teen, as well as when he was enlisted as a soldier during the war. And now I shall begin with Sunday, December 16th, 1906. Lloyd and Alex and I kept house today while the others went to church. This is the first Sunday that I have missed that any of us went since I started to church in the summer. Monday, December 17th. Father went up to the mill with a grist this forenoon, and the boys put in the day chopping poplars back in the swamp on the other place. Tuesday, December 18th. We had a fine day today, but a pretty cold one today. The boys chopped some more poplars back in the swamp on the Brash place. There are some trees that have grown along the east side of the swamp, and we would like to get the wood and brush off of it and have some hay on it. Wednesday, December 19th. This morning I took Alex Abercrombie and our milk into the creamery. The school closed until after the holidays today. It was a few days too soon, but Miss Devlin, the teacher, has not been very well, and so she decided to close her term a little early. Father and Mother went up to Mr. Abram Moody's for a visit this afternoon. Thursday, December the 20th. Father went over to Alex Abercrombie's this morning to help him kill a beef heifer, and he was away most of the day. There was a light snow kept falling most of today, and as Leslie was not very well, the other two boys did not bother going to chop. Friday, December 21st. There was several of us to town twice today. This morning, Father and the boys went in with 4 fat cattle, and while in there he sold our pigs, and I went in with them this afternoon. We had 9 of them, and they only weighed 1,180 pounds. Messrs. Brown and McLean got them and gave us 6 1/8 a pound for them. They also got our cattle. Father and Mother went to town in the cutter this afternoon. Saturday, December 22nd. This afternoon, us 5 eldest went to town. There were quite a lot in town, but they kept off the streets pretty much, as it was pretty cold standing around. Alec and Leslie took in 5 skunk skins that they had trapped in the fall. Mr. John T. Devlin gave them $2.50 for them. Monday, December 24th. Today was a muddling cold day. Father went to town this afternoon, and shortly after he went away, Ernest and May Bell arrived along and spent the afternoon and evening with us. Tonight is Christmas Eve, and our stockings are to be hung up tonight, the same as long ago, when we believed everything about Santa Claus. Tuesday, Christmas, 1906. Well, Christmas Day is come and nearly gone. We were at home all day, and were middling busy. We had about 15 visitors for today. There were 6 from Uncle Alfred's, 7 from Uncle William McLean's, and Uncle Johnny James and Aunt Annie. They all stayed until about 7 o'clock this evening, and I think that everybody had a fairly pleasant time. Our stockings were not badly filled this morning. My portion consisted of a book by Mary J. Holmes, a silk tie, a bandana handkerchief, and an orange and some candies. Mervyn was made happy with a drum, and Harold got a toy steam engine. Wednesday, December 26th. Today was not quite as cold as some of the past days have been, and tonight I think from the feel of the wind that it might be thawing before morning. Father went to town this afternoon, and while there he saw Uncle George Poole and Aunt Mary. They just arrived in Perth from the west yesterday morning. Edna and Alice were home with them. They're at Mr. T. A. Moody's, and this evening Alice, Lloyd, and I went down there and spent a pleasant time. Thursday, December 27th. We had our annual killing of beef today. Our beef this year was a 2-year-old heifer, and when dressed weighed 411 pounds. I made our last trip for the season to the creamery this morning. Since it began, we have sent 953 pounds of cream and 4,260 pounds of milk. Friday, December the 28th. The boys spent today getting home some of the poplars that they chopped in the swamp on the other place about a fortnight ago. Father lay off as we had visitors for the day. This morning he went to town and brought out Aunt Lizzie and James Holliday and his sister Janet. Saturday, December 29th. The boys got home the rest of the wood that they had cut in the swamp on the Brash place this forenoon, and this afternoon they chopped a few more poplar from the same place and brought them home. Father and Mother went to town this afternoon. Monday, December 31st. Well, here we are at the last night of another year. During the year, a good many changes have taken place both at home and away. The year itself has been an unusual one. The scarcity of snow during the first few months of the year have made it one to be remembered. Today was a good deal like a day in the early part of November, as there was a good deal of rainfall this forenoon, and though very little fell this afternoon, it has gotten like rain again. Today was nomination day in Ontario, and in this part of the province interest in elections are pretty keen. In Burgess, Mr. John Wilson and Mr. James Allen are both trying hard to be elected for Reeve, and I expect that they would both be nominated today. In both Bathurst and Perth, the number of candidates seeking election is larger than the number of offices to be filled. And now goodbye to 1906, and may the faults we have committed during the year be a lesson to us in the one that is about to start. And that is where I shall end for today. Thank you as always for listening to Reading History with Great Uncle Ernest.